Welcome to the Yamaha MT15 review. The Yamaha MT15 is the street naked version of the R15 sport bike. They haven't tried to detune it, so it gets the same 19 horsepower along with the 15 Newton meters of torque. The India spec version gets normal telescopic forks instead of the USD units, just like the R15 in India, and that didn't come at a surprise. What did surprise me was the downgrade in swing arm. But maybe they did it for cost cutting, I thought. Yamaha recently gave the R15 a dual channel ABS, but for the MT15 they have taken it away and replaced it with the same single channel ABS as found in the FCV3, which I've already reviewed. Being a street fighter, obviously the fairing and the clip-on handlebars are gone now. The styling is fresh and inspired from the bigger MT bikes. Since we don't have so many of those plying the Indian roads, I think the MT15 will have a stylish and unique road presence for our Indian streets. The motorcycle shares major components with the Yamaha R15, including the 282mm single disc up front and the 222mm disc at the rear. The alloy wheels are the same, along with the same tire sizes and MRF tires that have accompanied these bikes over the past decade. With the cost cutting in ABS and swing arm, I was expecting this motorcycle to be priced at least 20,000 lesser than the R15, but it turns out to be just 3,000 cheaper. And yes, I'm not blind to social media. I've read your comments on Facebook how you felt about this motorcycle was overpriced, and it could be just better to get the R15, which still has better specs with the dual channel ABS on offer. But we can't ignore the fact that the R15 has an aggressive riding posture, something a lot of people couldn't live with. The MT15 is the R15 experience for those who don't want to suffer with the wrist and back pains. Maybe 150cc is just too small for the racetrack, but good enough for short tours. Those are the answers that we will be trying to find out in our road test review. So let's get started, and we'll start with the ergonomics. So this is the Yamaha MT15. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, well, this is all we're allowed to do on this bike. Unfortunately, we're not one of the bigger vlogging channels who never review a bike and get invited to BIC to test this bike out. We get the streets, stuff like these, you know, but it's okay because that's where most of you will be playing this bike. This is like the real world test, you know. So I've ridden the R15 V3, and that I've done on the streets and the highways, and I've taken that bike to, you know, its full acceleration potential, 0 to 100 testings. We have done that. So even without riding this bike that much, I can tell you about it. First of all, we talk a little bit about the ergonomics. So engine wise, it is the same power, same torque. So what you get essentially is a different riding posture. Look, a racetrack. Guys, I know that this review is not gonna be sufficient. So let's talk about the ergonomics. The foot pegs are a similar position to the R15. That means they're rear set, but the upper body is pretty much relaxed. There is a slight 10-15 degree lean forward, but there is no pressure on the back or on the wrists. So with the FZ, the foot pegs was kind of up front, you know, but with this bike the foot pegs are as well rear set. So it's kind of like a cross between the R15's body positioning and the FZ's body positioning. The suspension reasonably soft for a street bike, maybe a little firmer than the FZ. That difference is there, but feels more like a street bike. And that aggressive riding posture, something that used to strain out the wrists on the R15, is gone. So on the R15 we had two complaints. First of all, it didn't have ABS. Now it comes with a dual channel ABS. Unfortunately, the MT still gets the single channel ABS like the FZ15 or the FZ3, whatever you guys call it these days. So that's a downgrade, but riding posture wise, obviously similar to the FZ. So those people who were always buying R15 and asking me the question that I hated, can I tour on the R15? And I always said no, you can't, because I mean, that's ridiculous. The bike's not designed to do that, but still people bought it for the fairing and they ended up touring on it and hating the experience. I guess that's gonna improve with the MT. Now the thing is, with that, it is one of the very naked sort of experiences in riding, so you guys kind of feel a little bit of a punch, a wind blast punch, if you take it out. Luckily it doesn't do that too many of a high speed, so it's slower than the Duke 200 obviously, so not that much capability there, but the top speed is going to be pretty big. I got to open up a little bit. And even in this little stretch, we crossed over 100 kilometers per hour. It was a bad patches of road, and it is way firmer than the FZ's suspension. So what else do we talk about? Do we talk about the braking? Sorry, I didn't test it that much, apart from the point where I decelerated from 100 kilometers per hour. Yeah, the brakes are good. They've always been good, and there was this lack of bite that's still there. The progressive is reasonable, as it always was. We now have single channel ABS. Applicability thing definitely has improved over the R15. We still have the same delta box frame, I presume. Now when you open up the throttle, that's where the differences are. I think this is getting the same console from the R15, but since it's a naked bike, the console looks bigger to me. I'm not sure if it's just me or if the console looks bigger. Now above 7,000 RPM, the R15 has something called the VVA kicking in, and variable valve timing they call it. It is nothing but two different cams, one to deliver low end torque, like we are now here and we're getting low end torque, but when you open up on the higher side, you get that VVA turns on right above 7,000 RPM, which means there's the second cam kicking in to give you a better higher end performance. And on the R15, you know, because of the fairing, I think it was heavier, and the power, it came in a little bit more smoothly. There was a lot less aggressive. Here I'm actually enjoying the power a little bit more. A lot of people might think why you should buy this bike over the other bikes like the FZ, because the FZ15 is around 1,20,000 for the single channel ABS. The pricing question is very important. This is 1.63 lakhs. That's expensive, and when you're comparing it with the R15, that's just 6,000 rupees more expensive, even with the on-road price. This is 1.64 lakhs on-road. What surprised me was the FZ25 is cheaper than this by 1,000, and on-road prices. That has a 250cc engine, 1 bhp more power, 3 Newton meters of more torque, and it has a dual channel ABS, but it's cheaper. So when you're talking about the pricing, this bike didn't really make much sense to me, because it's 150cc. It's being priced a little bit more than their own 250cc motorcycle. I understand that's a commuter and this is more like a sporty naked, and this is more fun to ride. The throttle response is there because of the VVA, and it's fun to ride. I get that, because on the FZ that fun factor was always missing. This is having suspension quality is way better, even though it's the same normal telescopic forks and not USD forks, but still the suspension is better and you can feel it. It's firmer I agree, but the quality of how it is damping it, how it is handling the bumps, I can understand it's better. The frame is insanely better because this is the Delta box frame. The throttle response and the engine I've already talked about. It's a very racy tune, but still that's a 250cc motorcycle, which means all day cruising, that bike's gonna get to 100 kilometers per hour at a lower RPM, so it's gonna maintain those speeds easier. So we are back from the short ride of the Yamaha MT15. The major takeaways are the more comfortable ergonomics with the upright sitting position and 4 kg of weight saving compared to the Yamaha R15 V3. And trust me, you do feel a little bit more punch in the lower range because of the saved weight. So what are the positives of this bike? I definitely like the power delivery, the throttle response, the riding position, and it's a cross between the FZ, which is right to our left side right now, FZ V3, because FZ V3 has normal foot pegs and this has rear set foot pegs, but FZ V3 has an upright upper body position which is common to the MT. So the riding position is a cross between the Yamaha R15 V3 and the FZ V3. That's the MT15 riding position for you. Positives, obviously, as I've talked about, the power delivery, the feel of the engine, the smooth engine, and the super smooth 6-speed gearbox. Remind you, the FZ gets 5-speed gearbox, same as the FZ25. Now you have a lot of other competition to this motorcycle in the same brand. If you're looking for something a little cheaper, you have the FZ, which has the same single channel ABS for 1.2 lakhs. This is 1.64 lakhs, and you have another competitor within the Yamaha stable, which is the Yamaha FZ25. Now that's going to drop in the mileage a little bit, but it is going to be better for the touring. It is a bigger bike, so that's going to be somewhat like 1.63 lakhs for that FZ25 and 1.64 lakhs for the MT15. So those are the two bikes which we have completely close pricing. Now if you're looking more for a street city bike, probably go for this because this is lighter and gonna give you more mileage in the city, but if you're gonna take it out in the touring, go for the FZ25. Now in the street fighter, if you're looking for different brand, you do have an option of the KTM Duke 125, which has 5 bhp less power on the KTM Duke 125, but it offers upside down forks, it offers a 10-step rear adjustable shock absorber, it offers a DOHC engine, and it offers you a lot of other things such as an instrument cluster which has a way lot more information and a trellis frame. So though that bike has less power, it does have way more kit to offer and a better mileage promise, because that is a 125cc and it is cheaper by 24,000 rupees. So that's another option. So lots of options with the street naked, and the bike market is really heating up right now in India, which is looking really good for all prospective buyers. If you ask me what are the negatives of this, probably just one, and that is with the pricing. I would have probably expected this to be 1.4 lakhs, which is just in the middle of the FZ V3 and the R15 V3. Yamaha took off a few things like the swing arm, which is on the R15 they have a more advanced swing arm. This is a simple box type swing arm, and they have taken off the dual channel ABS, replaced it with a single channel ABS, as I've already said in the intro. So those are the negatives, and the price, it didn't reflect in that, but otherwise great motorcycles. So if you leave out the pricing, I think it's good. But if you're looking for something unique, because this is gonna have, I think this is gonna be more of a niche, because more people will go for the FZ3. This will be more considered a niche segment. It will give you that road presence. You're looking for a small street naked bike, you can come out here in Keshtapur and you can check out these bikes. They have a demo unit, so you can take a test drive, and you can also have a test drive of the FZ25, R15 V3. Close pricing, lots of options for you guys. Take a test drive and decide for it. Do tell them that I recommend it to you. Thanks for watching, and this is Rahul. Goodbye.